and movies is a bad place to go. That's not what we are. That's the mentality that people have. I attended a fundraising retreat last August in Nashville. And one of the pictures that was shown to ask the group, who the group of people were from all over the country, really, and they were from all different backgrounds, mainly nonprofits, some for-profits, but they were there to learn fundraising for helping their organization. There was a picture from Facebook of a dog looking up at the camera with its eyes up with a bowl underneath, and it said, "I'm hungry." Only one person out of the probably over 100 people appreciated that. Everyone was offended by it because they felt it was too harsh. I understand you can't please everybody, but being a public shelter, we have to be very, very aware of our perception and what we put out. That relates to our social media with Facebook and Instagram. It also relates to what I go out and about and network and say. It goes out to, one thing we can't control is how staff behaves in response to certain things. So that's also a concern of mine. I recently spoke to Elon University Strategic Communications class. The animal shelter is their client. They are going to devise a marketing plan to rebrand. One of the students had been a volunteer, or been a pseudo volunteer. I think she came with one of our volunteers in the shelter one time. During my presentation, I mentioned, did you notice an odor in the shelter? For me, as soon as you walk in, it knocked you down. We have a brand new facility. I've mentioned that here before. We're 30% larger for capacity for animals, and we're 100% more efficient with our surgical area. When I moved into my office about a month ago, there was a vortex of air that came out of the front double doors where it's changed. I smelled nothing. So I have such the platform to start this invigorating change of mind for our organization. And I want some help to determine the best way to do that, the best message. I have my Facebook page up for the shelter that I can screen share if you'd like. And we can take a look at what we've been posting. Are there any initial thoughts on what I just said?
Kayla just posted in the chat. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Kayla's got there about a no-kill shelter in Pittsburgh. That they, if you would be interested in connecting with them to see if they have resources.
Thanks, Kayla.
The animal friends in Pittsburgh, they do quite well with all their funding and getting their PR out there. They might have changed since then because I haven't been there in 4 years, obviously since we moved, but maybe contacting them and see if there's someone in their PR marketing department, something that might be able to help you out. And the other thing is, with you guys being a Best Friends Society partner, there's got to be some resources there at their corporate over in Utah that can guide you guys along too.
Yeah, that is a good idea. And does anyone think that guidance is regional? Is there a guidance that fits here in the Southeast versus another part of the country? Is there a mentality? I don't know. I've made it clear I'm new to the animal welfare world. I've been in it almost 2 years now, and boy, it has been a learning experience. And I'm proud of what I have learned, but I have lots to learn as well. Does anyone think that there's a difference in how to speak to people regionally?
Yes,
Oh,
very
yeah.
much so. Very much so. It's going to be very difficult here because Pennsylvania is number 3 in the high kill euthanasia in in the United States, followed by Texas, and I think it's Louisiana is the second one. So it's very, very difficult here. So that's why I was thinking maybe reaching out of state and maybe reaching out to Best Friends, because Best Friends is trying for no kill for the entire country by 2025. They would be your first go-to resource. Then I would do Animal Friends. I mean, yes, they're in Pittsburgh, but they might have something to input. And with Best Friends, like you guys are partners with them, trying to take on national initiative, they might have better input than I would. But I will tell you, yes, there is definitely a difference in shift with the way animals are treated here in the South versus the North.
Deal. Thanks for that info. I wrote all that down. That's perfect. That's really good advice. It's right there in my face all the time with Best Friends and grants and everything. And
Right.
sometimes I don't look at the other piece to it. So yeah, that's awesome.
I say utilize those resources.
Absolutely.
Kristi, I'm curious, why were so many people offended about a dog in front of a bowl that says I'm hungry?
Everyone just really felt that was too in your face. It was too heart-wrenching. It's like seeing the dead body of a person, I guess. It was just too much. I was floored. I had a very neutral opinion about it because I was 8 months into animal welfare at the point, and I truly didn't have an opinion. I mean, I can see things very diplomatically, so I totally saw it from both sides, but I was floored at the overwhelming response of it being so many people that thought it was inappropriate.
I will say,
There's something there, though, I would say, because you're hitting the nerve.
Right.
So
That's
maybe
kind of
tweaking it, because maybe the problem is awareness. And so if it's striking that much of a nerve, maybe just a slight tweak so that you're still hitting the awareness. But I mean, I don't know what the slight tweak is, but I would just keep moving in that direction, because it seems like you're revealing the pain, and until you reveal the pain, nobody shifts, nobody makes changes.
Right.
So I would say follow that path, but tweak it.
Right.
I have volunteered at Safe Haven for Cats, which is a cat shelter, a no-kill cat shelter in Raleigh that was like the first in Raleigh. And they, in their publications, while they do, they're always looking for donations, they stress the good that they do rather than the negative. And I think that strategy has served them pretty well. I also spent a couple of months working at a shelter in Pittsburgh that is run in a very different way. And the stuff that they put out is all negative and, we're desperate and the cats are in horrible need and all this. And I understand that, you do want people to be aware of what the issues are, but you have to kind of work that in, but start from a place of positivity, because people's emotional reaction is going to be guilt. And that's not going to be what makes them give. They're going to want to feel like they are helping make change and helping things to be better. And if they feel empowered to be helping to do something positive, they're going to react more positively to your message, as opposed to, you're accusing me of not doing enough or of being part of the problem by making it all negative at first. I've just noticed, you know, having worked in 2 different cat shelter environments with 2 very different marketing strategies, and seeing the difference between, you know, how things work out for them, that it seems like starting positive, work your important educational message into it, but couch it in terms of, this is how you can help. This is what we have done to make things better for these animals. And you can be a part of that by doing X, Y, or Z. That's just my 2
You know,
cents.
Really,
I
that
like
was
I
well
really like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a big sales strategy is to, you know, reveal the pain, then provide the remedy. And so, you know, instead of accusing, like, look, you're part of this problem, but say, like, did you know that this is a problem? Educate and show them the pain, and then but look what you can help do. Look what we've done with donations like yours. You
Well,
know?
And I was thinking, you know, since we all know the stereotype, there's no gray zone there. You can say, hey, not all shelters are alike. We are really making a difference. You can help us make a difference in more animals' lives. Look what we're doing. And sort of acknowledge the stereotype and then separate yourself out. Like, for instance, a lot of people say, oh, I know a lot of people who sell health insurance. Yeah, well, you don't know the customer service Brianna's going to offer. She's new. She's going to be an overkill to make her reputation and brand herself. She's going to go above and beyond. You're going to have a more positive experience with somebody like her than everybody else. Like, so I can separate her out from the pack by talking about, you know, attributes that she brings to the table, which is newness, which is eagerness to please, which is looking to brand herself. Those are powerful things you can say about her. And we can do the same thing for you. We can say, yeah, I know there's other places that are terrible, but guess what? We're so different, you know? And same thing with your travel agency. I mean, you know how many travel agents just try to vomit on you, buy this package, buy this package? You really listen. So if somebody says something, you're paying attention. Oh, they don't want that. They want this. Like, you're not shoving something down people's throats. You're really trying to give a great service. That separates out you from all the other travel agents in the world. You know what I mean? So I think that we can use that, acknowledge it, but then use it to say, this is how we're different. I mean, what do you think about that idea?
I like that. I like that idea. I think even with what Kelly said, and I would go also into, when Kelly was talking, I started thinking about marketing things. And so it ties in with what Linda's saying too. And you at first said, you talked about perception. So typically, if you look at different companies and their marketing, like FedEx, they're on time, you know, those type of things. So if you focus to who you are, what you do, and putting that out there. And also, I think with attached to Linda's, I also thought, oh, people follow people who do, you know, who they admire. Okay, so if you go out as being who you want to be and what you want to represent for animals, and for shelters, I mean, because it's not just about animals, it's about other shelters. And with Kayla saying there's so many different places, focusing on who you are, your brand, your vision, your mission, and what is the perception that you do want off. You look to that point and then work from that place. Having a picture of a dog with a bowl, I mean, I'm like you, I can look at it both ways. I can say, oh my gosh, there's a problem here. And but maybe just changing that messaging from I'm hungry to we help keep help keeping the dogs fed, or help saving the lives of dogs. So,
Or, you know, those diet things where they show the fat girl and then the skinny girl, like the before and after shots? Maybe you can say, look how this animal came to us. Look at her now, and she's happily adopted. You know, and you can do maybe a story featuring the animals.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, well, great.
so was
minds think alike.
I was just going to say the same thing. I was like,
Hey, winner, winner, chicken dinner.
It's all about, I think it's all about the stories. You know, we tell a lot through stories. And, you know, that's one of the things I'm learning, and many of the things that I'm doing is people respond to that.
good. Well, that's something we're trying to do more of, and we're actually putting out. People in the community tend to keep up. So if you've got, dog over here, Buster, they know how long Buster's been there, because you've got some watchdog people that are saying, well, what are they going to do with Buster? Are they going to euthanize Buster? I want to see how long Buster's there, and they keep track of it, because we have some negative folks that are critical, I guess you'd say. It's not very prevalent, but it exists. I mean, they have a whole separate Facebook group, just so you know. So, when you're in the public spotlight, I'm sure that we could just get all avenues. So
I was going to say, it's a compliment if you've got the conspiracy theorists chasing after you. It means you're, making a positive impact.
Really? Then I'm going to start a I Hate Tea Facebook page and see if I can help.
Right?
People are so contrary. Sales would go through the roof.
Oh,
Yeah.
and nobody needs health insurance, and essential oils are dumb. Let's see. Let me just go on a roll here. No one should wear makeup. It's, jewelry is
There's
stupid.
always going to be the haters.
I know.
Always. If you've got
Always
haters,
gonna be
that means
haters.
you're making a mark.
Yeah. What does Taylor Swift say? Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
Shake it off.
Shake it off.
Right. You focus on you. Focus on you and what you want for the animals and for your organization. Simon Sinek, start with why.
Yes.
I mean, he gives a lot of examples. He uses Apple as an example because they're not in the business of making computers and phones and electronics. They're in the business of making your life simpler. Okay. And then he also uses even Martin Luther King. I have a dream. He's focusing on his dream. And so I think that really comes down to the heart of your focus, why you're doing what you're doing,
Yeah, most of the time we start with our what instead of our why. So if you reverse that, and honestly, actually, I have a thing where I just take the what out because nobody cares about the what. So just your why, the how. Go ahead, Kayla.
I agree with you, Lori. Rather than taking the marketing perspective, these are living beings. They're not objects. They are living beings. You're building relationships with their humans. You're building families. And honestly, like I said in the chat, I'm going to be honest, people who feel that they're being shamed and they're reacting that strongly, they're clearly doing something awful to their dogs. I see it enough. I've heard it enough. I can tell you from a true animal perspective that that's what it is. There is no needing to candy coat and beat around the bush about it. You need to just be in their face and tell them, look, if you don't like it, then guess what? You can go. That's fine. But if you're ready to open up your eyes and realize what you're doing, great. We'll be more than willing to help you. Because you know what? Yes, haters are going to hate, blah, blah, blah. I've heard the whole joke. I get it. But you know what? If people don't want to learn, they're not going to. And those who do are going to. And I'm going to say this with love. Honey, you just go rock on with your bad self. And you contact your resources of best friends. You contact animal friends because they are the most just motivated, intelligent people that can help you guys get to where you want to go. And honestly, you guys being a public shelter and no kill, I've said this a million bazillion times, it's like the most amazing feat ever, especially in a state with the third highest euthanasia rate. I mean, come on, girlfriend, you guys gotta, promote that. That's what you need to be
Absolutely,
doing.
yeah, promote the positive. But Kayla, at the end of the day, they're asking people to open up their wallets and give them money that they don't need to give them. They're asking to be like, hey, when you're considering your charitable contribution, consider us. And if we're like, screw you, you hate animals, I'm not going to donate to that. There's just no way. So you've got to give them that feel good. And I like where, like you guys were saying, story, maybe have like a journalistic style, from the arrival to the shelter to leaving, if you have one of these animals that you have pictures of and, somebody that adopted them and could do like a story, almost like an interview.
Yeah, maybe you could have like a blog on your website. Maybe Allison can help you do, visual blogs so that when people go to your website, they see all the stories, animal after animal. We find them, we save them,
Yes.
we find them, we save them over and over. And then maybe launch them into Facebook and get all your friends to share it.
Mhm.
Look what's going on at this shelter. We're saving
That
things.
is a great idea. And one thing that so I think we do have a good balance with those stories. So for example, with Buster, we'll put that, a lady from Wilmington drove all the way here to adopt Buster. That actually happened, that a lady drove from Wilmington to adopt a dog. So I do think that we have a good balance on telling good stories, but I think we need to do it in many facets. So we communicate, I would say, exclusively through social media. And we have got to figure out a way to send emails, but that's very touchy because of marketing laws and there's a name for it. So we have to be very, very careful. And additionally, a concern that I had was how many asks are too much. I tried to do posts that's give, ask.
Yeah.
However, we all know that the Facebook algorithms, we don't know who's seeing it. So I myself might see all these posts that are asked, but I don't see the ones that are gives. So you have to be really, really careful. Would you want me to, well, let me get through this part of my concern too. We have people coming out to try to support us in many, many ways. Some very, very small, but very, very thoughtful. Whereas a community partner donor made dog scarves that we have for sale in a local store. So we're trying to envelop community and promote the store as much as we are the person who made them. And, it's full circle, because the more we can help to build the communities, that we can all help each other in better ways. So there's concerns amongst staff, and I admittedly put this into their head somewhat. So I have to be careful. Are there, and when is there a too much ask? When I see something and I see an organization, and I have to think about my kids' school. So my kids go to.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Oh no.
But to
Come
her point, I know
back.
what she's talking about. When my daughter went into
There she is.
kindergarten, that's all they did was ask for money. There you are, Kristi. We
You froze
lost
there
you
for
for a minute.
Oh, dang. No one else is here. I don't know why my internet is unstable. That's weird.
Oh, well, we can see you now, but you froze up about the time you said about going into the schools.
Yes, so I understand how it feels to be nickel and dimed in schools. And I felt like I wanted to participate as a parent in everything, every fundraiser, and give here and give there. But that's my problem, because I had to step back and realize and say, okay, I can only do what I can do, and I'm not going to feel bad about myself because I can't, or I choose to not do something. And I think that that's how we need to look at the public as well, because we're not asking everything of everyone. We're putting out, you might have the person who wants to buy jewelry and there's a jewelry fundraiser. You might have the person that wants to buy the dog scarves and that's what they want to buy. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, isn't there a good balance in offering something for everyone to be able to purchase to support us? Because we've got t-shirts going on, we've got a link to donate going on, we've constantly got donation requests coming in. So I guess my question is, if someone wants to help us out and do something, no matter how small the ask, don't you think we ought to support that fundraiser to speak to many different types of people?
I was also thinking about the fact, because you're right, there are organizations that I give to and they ask in 5 million different ways, and then you're like, okay, like I can't anymore. And it's not that I don't believe in them or want to support, it's just that I've given. I was wondering whether thinking out of the social media box and actually getting into areas where you can have one-on-one contacts with people. Things like pet stores, things like the big box pet, I can't think of what it's called right now. But where you're actually in areas that you can, people respond more to the in-person, and we're so inundated with social media. If you can have some information, flyers, somebody sitting there with a booth where you can actually talk to people one-on-one these days. And I know with social distancing that's hard, but even if you had, in a more public place, had some kind of information sheet or information flyer that you could do that is not on a computer, has nothing to do with the internet.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, Kristi, I just got a silly idea. Do you remember in the 50s when you could go and there was a kissing booth and you could pay $1 to kiss a pretty girl? I wonder if, I know, I'm not going there. Don't worry. I'm not going to have you kiss anybody. What I was thinking is, if you walked your dogs and you walked around with a can and you said $1 a pet, and you walked up to people, hey, we're trying to raise money. Would you like to pet our dog for $1? And see if people would say, oh, I'd love to pet the dog, and use that just as you're walking the dog out in the public. Maybe maybe you could use that as and maybe the dog could have a little sign like a t-shirt, pet me, help save my shelter,
Love me.
and that would be so cute. And then $1 is something that people can easily part with, so it's not a huge ask, and it's a way to get out into the community and away from the social media.
I love that idea.
Yeah. I was going to say, one of the things for me was, I remember being in a meeting with a woman who was in charge of fundraising for a nonprofit. And it was a big education for me to learn that any amount is helpful. As a matter of fact, like small amounts that are coming in regularly are actually almost more helpful to an organization, because then when they are going for grants, they can say, look at this, we have these dedicated people who will every month send us this amount, very consistently. And a lot of people didn't know that. Everybody thought like you have to have this big chunk of money to donate to an organization, when really that's actually not the case. So even maybe educating people on that piece, saying like, hey, look what $5 could do for us.
Yeah, every dollar counts. And I send thank you notes to even the person who donates $1 to the shelter, or I think the lowest was $2. So, and what Linda's saying is also a conversation starter. So it's more than about the money and the dollar, it's about the conversation starters. So that's something that our volunteers, when things get back to normal, we can do. But I will say that when it comes to in-person events, we're invited to do adoption events at different places, even outside the county. And it's a lot of work for staff. And I get that. And I'm not the one that's taking the animal out, but it's so important to do. And we have a mentality that it's not worth our time because we're so short-staffed anyway. So that is a challenge. So I'll have to reach out to volunteers to do things like that. But that is a great idea, to be out and about even before COVID. And I think it's going to be more important because I think people are going to want to get out more when they feel like they can.
Is it a liability to have volunteers go to those events?
No, not really.
Because maybe volunteers would be willing to go, because the staff have their hands full with the pets and maybe even doing adoption stuff, but having some volunteers who would be willing to talk to people, maybe even volunteers who have adopted pets from your shelter, almost like spokespeople, like success stories. And
right. And I think a key for me is I think I need to develop relationship with our volunteers, because I have developed some with a few, but there are more volunteers that I've attracted that I've gotten to know since I started working there. So they're kind of my people, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And people that are already there, that have been there for years and years and years, have established rapport with other staff. I need to do that so I can call on them directly, because it's one thing to send out a blanket email and ask volunteers, I need you to do this for me, versus me to personally call or visit a volunteer and specifically ask them to do this task. So I think that's a great take home that I got out of this, is that I need to develop relationships with some of our volunteers.
Well, I would, you know what else, Kristi? I was thinking, I think it was when Linda, maybe when you were speaking after Linda spoke, because my mind went, who do I know who loves dogs? I mean, or cats, whichever. That if you, like all of us, how many in here know someone who like is a huge dog lover? Like they're like.
I know Kayla.
Besides Kayla.
Donna.
but reaching out to who you already know to say, who else do you know? Because if you can get them, all of them behind you as well, you're creating a bigger network of people. Like my first, like, I don't know if you know Barbara Russell, and she's just like dog. I mean, it just finding the people that really love dogs, because they're going to support you as well. And so if you reached out and calling on all dog lovers, or all cat lovers,
your pet army.
Yeah. What, Kalua?
Your pet army.
There you go.
I'd like to volunteer, and I would like to, and then I'll do a whole little Facebook Live. Hey, you want to de-stress? You want to get out of the house? Here's something fun and safe you can do.
Oh, there you go,
Yeah,
too. That's another thing. Like,
walk.
Yeah, come, yeah.
You don't have to own a dog.
Animals are great for de-stressing, and yeah. And you don't even have to own it.
Of being a grandmother, you get to hold the baby, and then you get to give it back. So that can be kind of like a spin behind working at the dog. You don't have to own a dog. You can take it for a walk. You can have fun with it, and then you can bring it back, and woohoo, no poop to pick up at your house, right?
Right. Yeah, that sounds awesome. We're actually going to do, when things are normal, we're going to have reading to dogs. So youth can come in and read a book to a dog in the kennel.
My grandson did that, and he loved it. He loved it. And it was part of his therapy, because he was attacked by pit bull, and he had his chest ripped open, and he had a bunch of stitches. It was a huge deal in our family. And then he was terrified of dogs for at least 2 years post that. He would leap into my arms over the littlest Yorkie barking. He was like, really, really. So from him going and reading, and the dog was funny. It started off 15 feet away, then it was 10 feet away. And they used to slowly, and he was focused on the book and not, anyway, it was really helpful to him. And we were loving it because it got him to read, but it helped heal him from that situation.
Nice.
I think that would be really big too for parents, because, encouraging the kids to read. Like, I have a boy who doesn't want to. He's like, you read it. Doing something like that would be really encouraging.
What about your fosters, Kristi? Having them come to the different events with the dogs that they're trying to adopt out, but like you said, those little small amounts can help. Even a quarter from every person can add up. But yeah, the fosters would be your best avenue, because they're in direct contact with the shelter all the time.
I agree. And I've found through the foster coordinator that is a challenge to ask people to do that. So one of the events that we do is the Burlington Recreation and Parks is a Fourth Friday concert series and events at the local depot. So we'll have a table and have a foster take a dog there that we know would be good with the public. So we do that, but what I'm hearing is we need to do more of that.
Yeah.
More events can be good, yes, and I absolutely, those little amounts, they can really add up. It doesn't need to be those big $500 donations or what have you. Like I said, it could be a quarter, it'd be 50 cents, a dollar. It adds up.
It does, and it adds up awareness.
And that too, and that's the biggest thing that you need, is awareness for people to stop this. My dog does something wrong, I kill it. I mean, because it's a huge problem here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I deal with this problem a lot, being a force-free trainer in a predominantly let's shot, pop, and choke environment. And
I also don't know if you can work with maybe even a financial planner who knows how people who don't have kids and want to leave their money to something that they truly believe in. That's another, they don't have kids, they don't have family, and so they're looking as to what and where they're going to leave that money when they pass. It's another avenue that may.
So
Yeah,
actually,
that is a great idea.
You gotta really bet it's better to talk to an estate planning attorney, because a financial advisor is not allowed to influence their clients with regard to beneficiaries. They lose their license. It's a big deal.
Maybe there's a financial planner who knows a good estate planning attorney.
Yeah. So, but you know, Erin Edgar, she's an attorney that sometimes attends.
Yeah.
She helps people with stuff like that, and she might know other attorneys, you know. So the attorney is the person to go to, not the planner. I mean, not a good planner who doesn't want to lose their job.
We have actually had that happen. There have been a couple of happy surprises. In fact, about a month and a half ago, I met someone that it was the brother who is executor to the estate. And I think he handed me, and it's been that long and so many numbers have gone through, but I think in her estate, she left us, I think 5%, which was $10,000 to us. And we want more of that for sustaining work, because if I didn't make this clear, and I'm pretty sure that I have, but there's also some new folks on the call, we couldn't do the work that we do without donations. We couldn't. The budget is only going to fund basics. We go above and beyond because we have an awesome basis of supporters that also contribute financially to make it possible. And we work with other nonprofits who we've tried to promote. Our ice cream, you guys, I don't ever mention it here because you guys aren't going to drive to Burlington to get ice cream, but we currently had just ended on Labor Day a fundraiser where we developed an ice cream flavor that was for our acronym. So last year it was baked apple strudel, and this year it was berry almond swirl. And from Memorial Day to Labor Day, people in the community could purchase ice cream, and for every 3-gallon tub, they would donate a portion of that to us. Well, the ice cream place said that another animal welfare agency contacted them, and they were torn about whether to promote us or them. And I said, don't be torn. Let's just promote all 4 of us, or both of us. And while we're at it, let's do 2 more that support us. So we had that fundraiser, and last year we earned $700. This year it was $100 for each of the 4 organizations. But again, it brought awareness.
Kristi, do you have relationships with any veterinary offices?
Currently, the relationship that I have is I visited all the vets offices to work out a partnership where within the proof of the first 30 days of adoption, they offer a free wellness visit. And we do, other staff has deep relationships with certain vets offices where they take an animal in for an emergency or what have you.
Oops, where'd you go? There you are. I was just wondering if they would be willing to have a link to your Facebook page or do any sort of advertising for your events through their website, or, you know, back when we get back to actually being allowed to go into the vet's office with our pets, a lot of them have bulletin boards. I didn't know if you'd be able to put flyers up in those or whatever, because those are people who already care about animals. If they're
Right.
take care enough to take their pet to the vet, then not only do they have the money to do it, but they care about animals. So
Hey, you know what I was also thinking in line with that? In Raleigh, there are a lot of restaurants that are pet-friendly restaurants, like with outdoor seating. You'll see people come and they bring their dog with them when they sit down to have dinner. I'm wondering if pet-friendly restaurants would be a great place to advertise about the shelter because people are going there because they can have dinner with their dog, kind of a thing. So I
You
was
know what,
thinking
Linda, on that too, like sometimes restaurants will do like a fundraiser night for an organization where they do a percentage
of the take would go
Yeah.
to the shelter.
Yeah.
And then everyone comes out and eats there that night. So they make more money, you make money. People come and bring their dogs and eat. It's like a whole cute thing.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I would love to go to dinner under those circumstances. First of all, I would love to
Okay.
go to dinner. I miss going to dinner. Let me out of here.
Yes, we are fortunate that we were able to develop relationships with those vet offices so we can actually email them materials to print off to post. And we have visited. So last year we did our first pet Halloween costume contest downtown at the depot. And I know I could plan it last minute. I'm thinking about doing it virtually somehow.
Yeah, well, and if you listen, I have a paid Zoom account. If you want to use my Zoom account for a virtual event, you just reach out to me and it's at your disposal. The limit is 24 hours and 100 people.
Oh, okay. Good deal.
Yeah, I was thinking earlier, I forget what someone said, but remember Labor Day? I don't think they do it anymore. Muscular dystrophy used to do it, the telethon. I was thinking that too. Or like the Alzheimer's does a walk. This year they're doing it virtually. Actually, you're walking wherever you are.
You
so
could do a
there's
virtual dog walk and have
right,
people
yeah.
take a
Oh,
picture.
yeah,
of their
dog
dog.
walkathon.
We could show
I mean, you
up.
can use multiple platforms to do that. You could do it through Facebook. You could do it through Zoom.
And you can do
Yeah.
it. You can do so many fun things. Boomerang has this thing where you can grab of just a few seconds. You can show the dog's tail walking back and forth. You can capture it, set it to music. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Coleman's doing their walk virtual too. Everybody's doing virtual walks this year.
Well, it's safe. I mean, you're totally socially distanced. You're still participating in something. It's getting you out of the house in a meaningful way. I totally think it's a great idea.
Sounds good. I didn't get to screen share the Facebook page. I'm sure a lot of you already follow it and you can give me any feedback.
No, I don't. Let me find it right now. What's the name of it?
So let's
I
see.
apologize for not being on top of that.
Yeah, no worries. Instagram is Burlington Animal Services NC, and Facebook is Burlington Pet Adoption Center.
I know I have Facebook, but I don't think I had
So
Instagram.
Burlington Animal Services NC Animal Shelter, that's the one?
Yeah, there's a blue logo with a dog and a cat head.
Yep, that's it. And Joe Navarra and Anna follow it, so that's the
Yes.
right place to be.
That's it.
Love me some Joe and Anna now. All right.
Yeah, well, heads up, I'm trying to be very creative, and I contacted Joe and asked him if he would, I'll leave it at this. I asked him if he would consider hosting an event to bring awareness to us and offering a donation to our shelter if you buy a ticket maybe. So he said we will definitely discuss that. And I'm sponsoring his event with Eileen through Land and Sea Travel for this next one coming up in October.
Oh, and I signed up for that right away.
Yeah, it's only $5.
I know, it's a great deal.
It is a great deal.
Mostly, it's never the money. It's that he picks times, and I already am obligated to and listen. To opportunity to make money comes in front of taking a class. That's just the way my life works. So it was far enough into the future that I didn't have anything, so I just jumped on it and put it on my calendar. So I know it's crazy between the networking and the one-on-ones and actually working. My life is pretty full. So. But I'm so glad that as soon as I saw it, I jumped right in there.
What is his name?
Joe Navarra, Novara. And he's actually really good. He's for people who are not me, people who are a little bit more reserved, a little bit shy, get kind of jammed up networking. They feel awkward or they don't have a clear idea of their message or how to conduct this type of opportunity. he works with people to get you on the other side of those nerves, get your, you know, deer in the headlight syndrome set aside. And he's so nice, and he's very
He
shy.
is.
So
Yeah,
his story is kind of like what bred him to that business.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't really apply to me exactly because I'm like an extrovert on steroids. I could talk to a tree, to be completely honest to you. But I still appreciate it because I mentor a lot of women. So his message, you know, I can't teach you to be me, but I can listen to what he says and offer his advice to people that I meet with, or counsel people. Hey,
Yeah.
Joe says this, or connect them to him, you know, if they feel like they really need, you know, some intensive help. So I appreciate what he's doing because I want to meet everybody, not just the people like me. I want to meet the shy people too. So I'm happy for his business to get people in the game. And I think
Yeah,
he's a super nice person too.
Yeah,
He's more, he's like, what did he say to me? He says, I'm looking for the people that were in corporate that went to small business that are shy like me. Because he's like, yeah, he says, I'm just like you, Tammy. I'm shy around certain people, but other people, like us New Yorkers, we can talk to each other, no problem. But ask Linda, when I first started coming to the 1099 Ladies Zoom meeting, I wouldn't even have my face on camera. I wouldn't talk. I'm just in the background. I just listened.
Well, and what she said to me is, oh, I like to be behind the camera, not in front of the camera. I'm like, girl, you need to get over that now.
I've seen Joe be in networking events where he shows his leadership skills. There was a conversation that was going political, and he stopped it in its tracks, and I appreciated that.
Me too. I do that
He's
also.
He's a really good, and he may be willing to even sit with you also and do a brainstorming, because he started, I mean, his events, I mean, I've watched him grow, and he's got all different ways for putting on events and bringing in the crowds also. So he may be willing to even do something with you, an event with you. And he's got a great network, great message. And like Linda said, he was, I don't think he's that shy, but he's sort of, but he was really shy. And he even talks about that, how two things that I always remember him saying, one about how shy he was and how look at him now. And then the other thing is that he used mentors. What was a big conversation at one of his events actually. And his mentors are what helped him to get to where he is what he'll also say. So
yeah, and you know, not to give a shameless plug, but Kahlua has a really good business boost that holds you accountable, gives you a plan, and holds you accountable to that plan, and then helps you measure the results. And she's more of a cheerleader rather than a taskmaster type of a coach. So it's not expensive. I would actually consider maybe signing up for that. Just throwing it out there. It helped me. So I feel very comfortable.
Big testimonial for that was the group all collectively agreed that they liked working with me because I'm not an a-hole.
I did not say that. I did not say that. I say a lot of dumb things, but I didn't say that dumb thing.
No, but what they were saying was like, sometimes there's those coaches that really like, and I was not one of those.
Yeah, and then she has her own business that she's growing. So she's coming from a place of, you know, realisticness. She's not
the guide on the side, not the sage on the stage.
It's in 6 weeks type of a girl. She's, you know, hey, I grew my business. This is what, you know, and she works with all these big name coaches, and she has access to all their stuff. So it's like a secret way to get in on some super expensive coaching.
That was also why I was really pushing that reveal the pain, because that is a big trick that they use. Bye, Laurie.
Yeah, I got to get going too, unfortunately, because I've got to be somewhere and I need driving time. But super great. I really got to know you better, Kristi. I already liked you before. I even like you more now. So thank you for doing
I love the hot seats. Aren't they great?
Thanks,
See, Linda, you should get into one.
Yeah.
She wants me to change the name of it. She was like, I don't want to get into a hot seat. Maybe you should give it a different name so it's not so scary.
Yeah, something like
That's something I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do more things that are scary to help myself grow.
Getting to know you better. Call it that.
Yeah. And Mindy, you're really active on our social media. You've been really quiet. I want to hear your perspective.
Well, I love everything that you guys are doing. It's exciting. It's refreshing to hear of a shelter who is doing so much to save the animals, because you hear so much negative press, like you said. So I, as you know, I am a huge animal lover. So anything I can do in any small way to help support y'all, I'm happy to do it for sure.
Oh, we lost you, Kristi.
We lost her sound. Oh.
Kristi, we lost your sound. I think you're just having
Maybe.
more unstable internet.
But
Is that
definitely
beach
get a
breeze
one-on-one with
behind you?
Joe. Yeah. She needs a one-on-one with Joe Navarro, though. He definitely can give her insight.
Yeah.
I only had a 15-minute conversation with him because he had to see a client, go to a client. But just talking to him, I got some really good ideas.
Well, Kristi, I hope you got some good ideas from this.
I'm definitely going to do some brainstorming to see what I can do to help support you some more. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, on her Facebook page, there is a dog that's up for adoption after 72-hour quarantine. I just shared that post because I was like, oh, what a cutie.
I would probably be homeless. My mom, she's like, she loves animals too, but if I brought home another pet, I would probably, she'd keep the pet, but I'd be gone. So, you know, I'd be in a lot of trouble.
Kristi, I just wanted to say, I think you are totally doing the right thing, getting out here, networking, meeting people, because, you know, for myself, I grew up in this area. I've lived in Alamance County area my whole life, and I always thought of the shelter as the dog pound or the dog catcher, you know, like you said, that negative, ugh. But meeting you has given me a whole new perspective, and I realize what amazing work y'all are doing, and that you're, you know, not catching animals, you're saving the animals. And so every time I meet anybody that talks about wanting a pet, I'm sending them straight to you. And so I think you're doing right, like Mindy said, and just getting the word out so that we can all advocate for you in the community and in our areas that we live in, of the great work that y'all are doing. So thank you for all that y'all do. And thank you for just being you and just coming out and meeting people. Kristi and I met about 1.5 years ago, maybe, at a lunch. A mutual friend introduced us. She thought we already knew each other, and she's like, oh, I'm sure y'all know each other. And we were like, no, and introduced us, and we just hit it right off. So I just thank you for doing what you're doing and going out and getting the good word out about what y'all do, because more people need to know.
I actually think I met you at one of Joe's events, and that was the absolute first time that I had ever met someone from animals, like at an animal shelter at a networking event. And I remember thinking, that's brilliant. How come nobody's ever thought of this before? And it's true, like, you know, when we talked about, oh, let's look at cats, where we knew we don't want to go back to the shelter where we got our dog. And we were like, well, we'll make the drive. Unfortunately, the problem is we need to get him a little bit less crazy first before we can add more pets to the home. So
Somebody's comfortable.
weenie dog.
All right, everybody. Well, I saw that Kristi was in the hot seat, and I've been so busy, I've been able to jump into the meetings for quite a while, but I saw she was talking today, and I missed the last time that I think she spoke at, and I don't know if it was this group or another, and so I definitely wanted to make sure I was here today. So
well, we're so glad you were.
Yeah, I gotta run. I've got another thing I gotta get to, but it was good seeing
thank you
everybody.
for being here.
Yeah,
bye, Mindy.
You. Bye, everybody.
Great to see you.
Good seeing you too.
Oh.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.